What is good, everybody, and welcome to Between Frets, a space where female musicians meet and discuss all things music. Shorny Shorn here, and I hope y'all had a healthy, comfortable, safe holiday, including Happy New Year. Happy New Year to everybody. Those of y'all didn't get a chance to check out our social media at Fret Sisters on Instagram and Facebook. We have been featured of the winter edition of Guitar Girl magazine. Big shout out to Guitar Gabby, the diversity editor, and the rest of the Guitar Girl magazine team for inviting us to be a part of this edition. We all just ordered our hard copies of the magazine. We are so proud and we're so happy. It's just like a big moment for us. Even though individually, myself and JD Jam, we were in part of Guitar Girl magazine several times, but for us as a collective, as a whole, as us founders, it's very big for all of us. And make sure you get the copy. Go to their website at Guitar Girl magazine, or you can just check it out, the digital copy, and check it out if you like. It's just a big thing for us. Also, make sure you go to our website at fretsisters.com. Check out the new merch that we had during the holidays. It's still available. And make sure you can support us that way too. And also make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, and that will be a big help for us as well. So we have a great show for you today, and on behind me and my screen, I get to chat with the award-winning, talented, very humble Kayla Waters. She is actually based in the DMV, and when I first heard her sing and first heard her play, it usually I get goosebumps on certain musicians that put their major feel in their music when they play in their instruments. Not only I got goosebumps, I was bursting in tears. And hope to God, my eyes were so messy. I was like, next time I would get waterproof makeup so I don't have this problem. I'd be looking a hot mess with all this mascara and everything. It's a mess. But she is very talented, and it shows to me like more appreciation when it comes to composition and like being very creative and it's like her playing to me. It's very anointing. I love it. So when we come back, I'll get to chat with her. So keep listening, keep watching, and I'll see you guys later. Bye. And we are back. My guest today is an award-winning urban jazz pianist, composer, producer, recording artist, and musical director who made Billboard history by becoming the first female pianist and composer to reign at the #1 spot for 6 consecutive weeks. Wow. Everyone, please welcome my guest, Kayla Waters. Yay!
Hey, what's going on?
Good. How are you?
All is well. All is well.
From behalf of myself, the rest of my co-founders and partners of this, we thank you for taking your time out to chat with us and getting into everybody wants to get to know you and how amazing that you are. Talented,
Yes.
very talented.
Yes.
My first video that I saw you was you was playing the piano and you was singing this beautiful song. When I first heard you sing, I was like, okay, vocals. And then when you was playing and you was like the way you play and you was just putting your heart and your soul and you just like telling what the piano is saying, trying to find your voice in the piano. And when you play these chords and stuff like that, I was getting goosebumps everywhere and I was starting to cry.
Oh, yes.
Like only certain musicians that I listen to that give me goosebumps and cry. Yeah. That shows true musicianship. And that's what I really enjoy. And I really enjoyed it so much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I just try to play with my heart and play with my spirit. And it's just it's personal for me. And I just want people to feel my passion and feel my love for music.
So let's get to some of the questions that I have for you. And it's like, what inspires you to do music and like what makes you fall in love with the piano?
Yeah. Well, growing up, I come from a musical family. We always had a acoustic piano in my mom's living room. And I just remember I would always go in there and try to figure out how to play, even though I didn't know how to play. I can still remember what that sounds like. I remember I was only playing the black keys because everything sounds good on the black keys. So I remember before I started taking lessons, I was just black keying it up. And so I finally took lessons at 6. I just naturally fell in love with the piano. I kind of just stuck with that instrument. I never tried anything else. And I'm kind of just like a one and done girl. And I have a beautiful relationship with my instrument. It's like a part of me now. And I mean, I've been playing, I'm 31 now, and I've been playing since I was 6, but tinkling since I was a baby. So it just feels like it's a part of me. And I just fall in love with the instrument more and more each day.
Yes. That's what it is when you like put your hands on an instrument that you wanted to play so badly and you hear that sound come out of it.
Right.
It's kind of like you're introducing to it.
Right.
And then once you get to know it and build it up and build a relationship.
Right.
And then when you're in there playing all these beautiful chords, like if you write a journal or a diary entry, like every day, you go into your instrument and have a conversation, telling like how you feel today based on the chords that you are playing.
Right. Exactly. A lot of times if I can't say something, I can play it better than I can say it. If I'm having a rough day or if I'm feeling a certain way, what comes out of me musically is really what I want to say. So I get it.
Yeah, that it really is, because try not to mess up my mascara today.
Oh girl, look, both of us gonna be crying. I love it.
Wow. I'm like, get it together, Shorn. Not today.
Yes. Yes.
Can you tell us like what is your most memorable performance like in your whole career that like really gives you like that big highlight?
That's a good question. Most memorable. I'll have to say I played the Seabreeze Jazz Festival, which is in Panama City Beach. It's one of the largest jazz festivals in the country. I played it 2 years ago, and I debuted as a Seabreeze Rising Star. So it was a couple of us, and it was really humbling to debut that stage. A lot of people play that festival in my genre. It's a really big festival, and I remember after I played, I had like a standing ovation of almost 20,000 people, and I was just like, wow, the music that I come up with in my little space at home, and it's being heard in front of all these people. And most of all, my music is to glorify God. So they're experiencing the love of God through music. So that was just a humbling experience, just to see and hear how my music, which is really music that God gives me, just to see how it has blessed other people. That's my most memorable experience, just to see, wow, all these people are blessed by this music. And, that really inspired me.
Yeah, that's kind of like the best thing about performing, even before COVID and everything, stop everything. Like being on stage, like
Yeah.
like someone told me like your whole world is a stage.
Yes.
And every time you do something, like you play your instrument or you're singing, and someone else hears it, and it might touch somebody, even though it's like not, wrong timings, but when you hear them, and it's
Right.
like, oh my God, that's kind of brighten up my day.
Right.
And that's the
Right.
most powerful thing about music. It's very universal.
Yeah.
It can be anything. It can be a healing. It can be something that will motivate you and lift you up in the morning, or something that,
Mm.
heartbreaks and bad
Yeah.
relationships and
Yeah.
everything. Like anything that you're going through, there's music, there's a song in there that can actually will go through everything. And that's what I love
Right.
about that too. That is really like the most like very universal thing, that especially people that's going through a lot of mental health issues.
Yeah. I mean, music is so powerful. I can't even explain it. Like you said, it can heal someone. It can bring someone up, bring joy, bring peace, bring love, bring positivity. I just think that music is such a powerful vehicle to influence and encourage people,
Mm-hmm.
So I love it.
So tell us about your creative process.
Yeah. I feel like my creative process is ever evolving. Um, but I'll just kind of walk you through what my creative process would be for writing a song. I always start at my piano, acoustic piano, baby grand. For some reason, I just feel I need to be connected to a living instrument. So I always start at the piano. Something about the wood, the ebony, the ivory, the natural elements. I just feel like it's organic and it's authentic. Um, so sometimes I'll hear lyrics. If I'm writing a song that has lyrics, I'll hear a melody in my head, then I'll try to figure out some chords to it, or I'll just tinker around and come up with a melody at the piano. So I always get the bass. The bass starts at the piano, whether it's chords, lyrics, melody. I get the foundation set at the piano, and I'm a producer as well. So then I come over to my studio area, which is my keyboard, and I have my little 2 speakers, and I run Logic Pro. So then I'll just lay the chords down in Logic Pro, get the foundation. Hey, this is the verse, chorus, bridge. Here's the format, here's the structure. And then I start to build around that. I program Keybase, I program drums, um, all the special instruments. I'm very visual. I love I love painting. I love storytelling. I love creating a visual for people to really see and hear and understand the picture that I'm trying to paint. Um, and so oftentimes a lot of my song titles, they're uh, very visual. They have a lot to do with nature. I love nature. Like my first album, Apogee, had to do with outer space, and my second album was called Co-Evolve, and the picture on that album is a picture of me underground and a little leaf coming out of the ground representing new growth in life. And so I have a lot of earthy elements in my music, and so I love for the sounds and all the instrumentation to match the visual of what people see on the album cover. So I honestly feel like I'm a painter of sound, if that makes sense. So it's a very deep process, and yeah, it's constantly evolving, and I'm very into what I do.
Well, speaking of Co-Evolve, which is what's my next question from your recent album Co-Evolve, can you give us a backstory about that album? And
Yeah, absolutely. So, Co-Evolve came out October 26, 2018. Wow, I can't believe it's been 3 years already. But that album was really personal for me. It started with me being away from social media for quite some time, almost 8 months. And I was working on myself. God was working on me. Um, and that album is really a reflection of personal growth. Um, I think of songs like Little Mustard Seed, Signs and Wonders, Heaven Said So, Full Bloom, representation of me coming out of the ground and blossoming and being who God created me to be. And then the ending with co-evolve, which is really I'm evolving, but everyone else is evolving. So we're all evolving together, hence the co-evolve. So it was just I feel that it was a self-realization album, and I realized who I was called to be, who God created me to be. Um, and it and in turn, I was hoping that my personal story would help others be who they are called to be as well. So it's a personal love story, I say, to myself and who God has created me to be.
And I hope everybody will listen to that album. And I heard like bits and snippets of it, and
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. And I'm gonna go back and put those in my playlist because everybody in my house needs to hear all this. My kids, my boyfriend, my rabbit, yeah, they need to hear all that.
Oh my God, I love it. I love it. I love it.
Well, you actually have a new single called Open Portals.
Yes.
Can you explain a little bit the backstory of that song?
Yes, absolutely. So I'll even start with the visual of it. It's a picture of me standing with my arms stretched out wide, just reflection of the openness, and then music notes, the keyboard just floating out of my hands and ascending upward into the heavenly realm. And so I came out with that song. It's going to be a song on my new album as well, but I came out with that song just I wanted to write something encouraging and inspiring, with everything that's been going on with the pandemic. I still feel like there's hope. There's still space for us to believe. There's still space for us to prosper and receive blessings and flourish. And so Open Portals is a song about that, opening up whatever you think is out there for you. It's open and it's available for you. And more importantly, God has it so we can have it. So it was an encouraging song to inspire everyone who listens.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
Yes.
A lot of people has different routines when it comes to practicing with their instrument and learning their craft. Can you explain your practice routine with us, and how do you like get working on your craft and making it better?
Yeah. Well, I'm classically trained, so I feel that a lot of my classical elements are, when I was studying at Howard, a lot of that still rolls over now. So even though I'm a jazz artist, how I practice and the regiment and the discipline of how I practice stems a lot from my classical training. So it's kind of formatted, but kind of not. So I'll say, okay, I'll spend a little time at the piano. Let's take my time. Let's do some slow practice. If I'm preparing for a show, I will run my performance straight down with my TV tracks and pretend that my band's with me. I will do my talking points. And then at the end, I'll go back. And my piano professor, she used to call this kitchen work. You go back and you clean up all the problem spots that you had. So I run my show straight down. Then I'll go back, okay, I messed up the melody on that song. Let me go work that out. So I'm very meticulous, and I'm realizing that even if I don't get the 6 hours in that I really would like to, which is what I was doing in college, I had a lot more time back then. I'm super busy now. But if I have focused practice, even if it's just 1 hour of focused practice, it's almost like a 6-hour practice for me. If I'm really focused and I'm like, okay, let's work on this, or let's be really slow. Let's think about your fingering, your technique, then it just kind of works out. So it's the quality for me for practicing. So I try to be really detailed, even if I don't have a lot of time, because that helps in the long run.
So kind of what is your influences? Because when I hear some of your like piano playing, it kind of reminds me of Alicia Keys a little bit, because she put the classical train, what she learned from playing piano, and she put it and made her own sound. you do the same
Right.
thing with classically trained, and you put your own sound into it. So what is
Right.
your actual influences?
Hmm. It's I have a lot of influences. My dad, of course, he's a big influence of mine. My dad, he's a saxophonist. He's also a producer. I learned a lot about production from my dad. I learned a lot about formatting songs from my dad, having a strong melody for a verse, strong melody for a chorus, having a bridge. So I learned the basics of songwriting just from growing up around my dad. George Duke is another big influence of mine. Great piano player, great producer. He was very innovative with his sound, with his production style, and I think I am as well. In my genre, a lot of my melodies, many people have told me for my genre, my sound is very unique. It's not the standard progressions that you'll hear in most of the songs. So I try to infuse unique harmonies with catchy melodies to make my stuff stand out. And of course, classically trained. So I love music of Chopin, Maurice Ravel, some of the great classical composers, Beethoven. So a lot of my harmonies, I think, come from my understanding of theory and harmony based off of the classical pieces that I've learned. So that unique sound comes from, just studying the classical composers, how they went from key to key and ended up coming back to the home key. So I think a lot of that classical influence comes out in my sound as well. And then growing up in church has also been very influential as well, for the inspirational tone that my music has. So I'm a jazz artist, but it's got the inspirational tone, and that just comes from me loving God and me growing up in church. So my inspirations are just a huge melting pot. And then now I'm just creating my own sound with all those influences.
Good to know your roots.
Yes, ma'am.
You got to know your roots.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, if you can tell yourself maybe 10, 15 years ago, what would you tell, like what advice you will tell that yourself 15 years ago?
Okay, so let me see. 15 years ago, I was 16. And you know what's funny? When I was 16, I've always been the kind of girl, I've always known what I wanted to do even at a young age. I knew when I was a teenager that I wanted to be a musician. I didn't know I was going to be a solo artist now. I thought I was going to be more of a touring musician. Like I thought I saw myself playing behind Alicia Keys, and I didn't know I was an artist. Um, and kind of growing up and even through college, people would always say things like, all she does is talk about music, or all she does is talk about the piano, or all she does is play piano, and things like that. So I kind of I shied away from my passion. I shied away from my true identity, and I knew that me playing the piano and how I played the piano made me unique. I'm extremely passionate. I have a huge draw just from playing, because just my energy, the spirit within my music. And kind of I tried to hide that because I felt that people were picking on me because of that. So if I were to tell myself something 15 years ago, I would say, be who you are. Don't be afraid. It's okay to be different, and it's okay to be unique. And now, 15 years later, I can clearly see, I caught up on my identity. I've embraced it. I've accepted it. I know I'm super passionate. I know I'm super creative, super unique, and I'm just comfortable with who God created me to be. And I think growing up, I wasn't always comfortable, but I would tell myself, hey, it's okay to be different. It's okay to be unique, and just be who God created you to be.
But that is a great advice, because a lot of girls and women that talk to me about how do you do this and how you do that, and there's a lot of different ways. Everybody does it their way very differently, and
Right.
this kind of like, that was kind of like a great advice to those that wants to going through music and learning how to market themselves, because with this industry, which is very
Mm,
male dominant, given the
yeah.
giving these
Yeah.
stupid standards about how women should be marketed in order to get, sales.
Right. Right.
And it's
Right.
kind of hard and it's uncomfortable with people because that's not what they want to be. They don't want to be very sexy and appealing. They want to be more like themselves.
Right. Right.
There's
That's a good
girls,
point.
there's women like they're like tomboys and they can still make great music.
Yes. 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 That's right.
Like you
And
can
I
go on
think
stage, like you can go on a stage, for instance. You don't have to be very dressy like people walking
no.
around on stage with sweatpants and some Jordans and call it a day.
Right. And that's who they want to be. And like you said, I think society and even social media has created this culture where it's like you got to look a certain way, you got to be a certain way, you got to say certain things, you got to dress a certain way in order to quote unquote make it or to get a sale. And I'm not selling myself short. Bump a sale. I want to be who I'm created to be, and I want to, like you said, I want to wear what I want to wear on my shows and just be Kayla. And I feel like everyone should just be themselves. That's how most artists are. That's how we stay authentic and stay true to ourselves. So I definitely agree with that.
Yeah. So besides the single, you said you're going to put out a new album, or you putting out a new album next year, or you got any upcoming gigs that we should all look out for?
Yes, so I'm working on my third album. I don't have a release date yet. It's not done, but I am about halfway done. So I have a couple more songs I want to write and produce. So I'm hoping Q2 of 2022 we'll have a new album out from me. This coming year, I'm doing a lot of tour dates with my dad. I'm doing a lot of Kim and Kayla Waters shows. I'm actually going to be in the DMV area playing at Ram's Head in Annapolis with my dad on August 28th, I believe. So that's for anybody who's in the area. That's definitely something to look out for. But we're doing a lot of festivals. We're at Seabreeze again this year. Rehoboth Beach Jazz Festival in Delaware. We're in Dallas. We're in Cali, San Francisco. I'm going to be adding all my 2022 dates before the end of the year is out. So all my dates will be up on my website so people can check those out as well.
Well, I hope you'll come to Philly. I hope you will come to Philly.
Yes, there's a venue that I do with Gerald Veasley. He's a great bass player. He runs this venue. He runs a series in Philly called the Unscripted series, and it's at South. I don't know if you've heard of South off of Broad Street, but it's a really nice venue. But I do play that, so hopefully I'll get a date at South Jazz Club next year too.
Yay! Because I really want to go and see you live finally. Yes! I would say finally. And I will take my boyfriend with me because he's also a musician.
Oh,
keys was actually keys was his primary instrument, and he been playing around different instruments, like mainly bass. We've been playing together for almost 5 years, and he loves to hear jazz because he was in a jazz band. So I definitely will bring him and enjoy the good music. Because sometimes these radios these days, when you hear on the radio, it sounds like gibberish.
Yeah.
I'm like, sometimes I don't even understand what they say. I'm like, what are they saying? Are they mumbling or anything like that? I was like, this is not good music. What is wrong with millennials these days?
Right. Or then there's like no melodic content. I'm like, well, what's the melody here? I'm like, well, what are we singing here? Or we just
yeah, because I was like, okay, good chord progression, nice, pretty. But when you actually hear what they're saying, I'm like, what the heck?
Oh, crazy lyrics, or you can't make out what they're saying.
Yeah, I was like, I'm like an old soul. I miss good music back in the day.
Yes.
I have like old school music, like Tina Marie. I love Tina Marie. My favorite singer of all. I love the Whispers, Stylistics.
Oh my God, girl!
The Isley Brothers.
Yes, give me 70s and 80s music and 90s music, and I'm good. Now after 2000, I kind of fell off.
Yeah, but sometimes I might get ratchet. I might mix that in there a little bit, just a little bit.
Just throw a little, just throw a little sprinkle of that in there.
Yeah, just a little sprinkle of the ratchetness, but come on back with the where you came from, the roots.
That's right. Come on. Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell our listeners like where to find your music and your social media so everybody can like follow the amazing talented person that you are and how humble you are? And
yes, absolutely. Well, all my social media handles are at I am Kayla Waters. My website's IamKaylaWaters.com. Instagram I am Kayla Waters. Same thing with my Facebook page, facebook.com/I am Kayla Waters. So I just got that centralized title for everything.
well, I will make sure that we will put your social media handles, your website, and everything like that on our notes and stuff like that, and descriptions where people will follow you. And that's it. That's
beautiful.
it. So I would like to thank Kayla Waters for joining in with us. See that lovely. She is so pretty.
Thank you.
And I hope y'all see us in the next episode. Until then, I am Shorny Shorn. And thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye-bye.